This is a serious video. There will not be any jokes, memes, or otherwise anything funny or satirical in it. So as many of you may have heard, the corporate Clash crew have been in drama relating to staff treatment and not crediting former staff or contributors. I am here to share my experience with the corporate Clash crew. My story begins sometime late October 2018. I had started playing TTCC and joined their Discord server. I soon found myself being an active member in their Discord, often venting my frustration towards certain aspects of the game. I'll admit, there are times where I overstepped my boundaries and complained a little too much. There was a staff member in particular who I did not get along with. That being Sir Tubby Cheesyfish, or just Tubby for short. Me and him were not on the best terms, and there are certain actions he did in the Discord that made me uncomfortable. The first of which being in December 2019, he had decided to play a joke on me in the voice chat. He kept kicking me from the VC despite me not breaking any rules. This made me feel very upset. I was just minding my business, talking with people in the pretty full VC, and he continually kicked me while I kept joining the VC. It frustrated me. I'll openly admit, when he kicked me from the VC, I didn't take it well and made a fool of myself. Another thing he did was call me a boomer on multiple occasions, despite me asking people to not call me that. At one point, he got a bunch of staff members into the VC, invited me to it, just for them to all at once say that word towards me. This was a despicable action, and once again I felt very uncomfortable having what felt like the entire staff team disrespecting me. Unfortunately for me, this isn't the end of this particular instance. On December 22nd, Tubby decided to make a picture of me that was a mixture of the TTCC Discord's emoji, boomer, as well as the yes guy from The Simpsons, the guy I've used in my profile picture for years. This was where I felt the most uncomfortable. This very image was used by various members in the Clash Discord to make their own emoji of me, to insult me, to get a reaction out of me. Every time I saw this specific emoji, in any context, I felt uncomfortable, disturbed. You may notice this one shows what appears to be a Cashbot suit, which brings me to my next point. On April 7th, a blog post was made for the latest update, Phase 2, of April Toons. The update included the addition of various cogs now being considered .mgr managers, including the facility bosses. You'll notice it says, "There's your Cashbot mini-boss for you." I was disgusted. You might be wondering why I am so upset at something so trivial as this. It is because one of my biggest complaints in this game was how every COG department at this time had a mini-boss, except for Cashbot, with many of them being lawbots. And over many occasions, especially from Tubby, I was mocked and made fun of for this. And seeing them openly make fun of me in their own blog post, I was disheartened. The whole situation made me feel upset. It made me feel unwanted, like my feelings did not matter. And these are only a couple of examples of what Tubby did to me while I was in the Discord. It got so out of hand that I ended up blocking him on Discord twice. That didn't stop his continued harassment of me on the server. That's about it for my experience with Tubby. But I have had issues with other staff members. Not long after the update, the blog post was edited to remove the mention of the Cashbot mini-boss. And I was given an apology from the Clash team, and they had promised to give me a complimentary prize pack. I felt it was very nice of them to give me a prize pack as a form of apology. I have given them my address as instructions to where they can mail it to me. 7 months have passed, and I did not receive my pack. So I decided to email them about this. They told me that the prize pack had been lost in the mail. They refused to give me a new prize pack, or otherwise compensate me. If I didn't know any better, I'd say they never did want to give me a prize pack, and just lied about it to keep me silent over the whole Cashbot fiasco. Whether or not this is true is something I don't know. But it certainly disheartened me to not receive the prize pack I was promised. But now for the big one. the thing that has ultimately led to my distrust towards the corporate Clash crew, and why I feel it is important now that all this stuff has been said about them, that I share this experience with everyone so they know what's up. On June 11, 2020, Toontown Online's HD source textures and assets were leaked. This leak is referred to as Pandora. To make a long story short, the discovery of these textures, and TTCC's usage of them had greatly upset me. I had protested TTCC's usage of these textures very badly. I will openly admit I did it in the wrong way and lost control of my anger, upsetting various Discord members. I had received a couple warnings regarding my behavior. On July 17, 2020, just a week before the release of 1.1, I was officially banned from the TTCC Discord for my overusage of talking about Pandora. If this were a normal ban, I would probably just move on from it and accept how I acted so poorly. But upon further observation, I noticed that something was off in my ban message. It says here that I was given an infraction and that I would be muted. You read that correctly. I wasn't meant to be banned. I was meant to be muted. This was confirmed to me by a former moderator for Clash. The ban was a complete accident. But despite that, they kept me banned and never acknowledged their slip-up when I went to go appeal. I was devastated. A couple years later, on September 17, 2022, I decided to appeal again. The ticket was closed. I got no response. A couple years again, on January 20th, 2024, I appealed again. Once again, the ticket was closed, and I received no response. I even sent reminder emails asking them to respond. And then I appealed on April 8, 2025. And again I received no such response. Until finally on May 7, 2025, only after DMing the former mod lead, they finally responded to my appeal. And it was rejected. They told me to hold off on leaving another appeal to give me a chance for more personal growth. I then replied and asked them for some clarity on how long I should wait before appealing again. And they ignored it once again. This is just completely bogus. They have had ample time to admit their mistakes and bring me back in. And instead, they keep the ban intact, and even after 5 grueling years and 4 appeal attempts, they still can't let me back in. I know that I wasn't the best person on that Discord, and I have said and done many things that I regret, but this is just ridiculous. I have changed after 5 years, and they still refuse to let me back in. I was never able to talk about the 1.1 update. Never got to talk about how I like the CLO, among other things in the update. I never got a chance to get the executive board bot outfit. My entire world had shut down. This has got to be the worst treatment I have ever received by a moderation team. It is clear to me how unwanted I was by the TTCC staff. So that pretty much sums up my experience with the corporate Clash staff. A lot of one-sided, unfair things have happened when communicating with them. The staff had made me feel uncomfortable, unwanted, and miserable. Their negligence has made me feel so upset, and I have never felt more betrayed and alone when trying to talk with them. The whole situation has flipped my world upside down, and I just cannot hide my feelings anymore. And their recent actions as of 1.3 with nearly 90% of the team leaving shows me I am not alone. I'm not the only one who has been affected by the TTCC team negatively. And here's hoping they can be held accountable for their actions and make some actual improvements going forward.